Welcome back everyone. Today we're looking at wheel bearings. So a front wheel and a back wheel. These are Vision Metron wheels. I'm not going to cover every single manufacturer independently. It's impossible, I'll be here forever. But the principles are going to be very similar on any wheel you look at really. So the cartridge bearing wheels, so we need to be pressing them out, pressing them in. So let's crack on. So we'll start on the front wheel first of all, it's the easiest one. Need a couple of tools to get this out first of all. So on this wheel there's some preloaders, quite a lot of wheels have these, little 2.5mm Allen key. So these preloaders, 2.5mm Allen key, just loosen those up on both sides of the wheel. A lot of wheels have these on them, you'll see. Don't take the screw out, you don't need to. Now, on this one, again with quite a lot of other wheels, you'll have a 5mm hex in here. So you just drop an Allen key in that one there. So if you can't get this out, basically just keep going like this, unscrew it, and it'll just pop this end cap out for you. You can normally pull it out by hand, to be fair, like that, but this will just push it off if need be, and then just continue to take that off. Put that somewhere safe. Your axle should now come out. Like that. And then what you need to do is find out what bearing part number you've got, so give it a clean. They're going to be very, very small numbers. Normally if you take a picture with your phone, zoom in, you can find out what you got. If you're as blind as me, you need to take a picture like this. LLB is just a seal type, but 6803 is the bearing size that you need. This is an Enduro bearing as well. There's some replacements here, 6803 LLB Enduros, exactly the same bearing going back in. First of all, we obviously need to get these old ones out. That requires a bit of violence, unfortunately, so let's get them out. By no means essential, but if you have one of these Hope hub supports, these are really good for this. Basically, you just rest that on there. So you'll need a long punch, and that basically just catches on the edge of the bearing there. And we're just knocking it through. Probably easy on the floor, but I'll do it on here just to be able to show you, but normally I put it on the floor so it's not bouncing on the table. So I put it on one, go to the opposite side, and it's out straight away. There's the bearing there. On the other side you can just repeat exactly the same, or if you're lucky enough to have these fabulous Enduro punches, these just drop onto the bearing like that, perfect fit, and just drive it through. These are fantastic punches, so that will sit in there like that then. And again, just knock it through. But these are £200 or £300 for a set, so you're not going to be getting these for a one-off wheel job. And that's out. Okay, so that's both the bearings out. It's super easy. So just clean this up now, get it ready for some new bearings. So the front's normally pretty straightforward, but like I say, just check on your manufacturer of your wheels, just check on their website, and there's normally pretty good instructions, or again on YouTube. And if you're a bit unsure, just check that first, because like I say, there's loads and loads of different slight variations on how these are done, but the principles are fairly similar. So if I get anything that's sort of completely different, I'll do a video on it, but these are pretty similar to everything else. You need to get a bit of grease in here just to aid installation and to stop anything seizing when we change it the next time. So just get a bit of grease on your finger, grease gun, whatever you've got. Anything really in here is going to be better than nothing. This is just Shimano premium grease. It just happens to be the nearest to me at the moment, no other particular reason. All we need to try and get it is in the silver piece where the bearing sits. We don't need it anywhere else. So just a little coating like that just aids putting the new bearings in. So with the old bearing, check what size it is. You can go on the internet and find out for your bearing size what size it is, or you can measure it. So this is a 26mm. Just check the size of it first, because you need to get the correct size drift to put this in with. So this is 26mm. And then you'll need a press and some drifts. Like I say, it's probably not worth your while spending £200 on a press here to get this done when a bike shop's going to charge you sort of 20 quid to do it. Well, maybe more than that, but it's not going to be a great deal. So yeah, without this you're going to struggle. You can sort of make up a threaded rod and some washers and stuff for the right size, but it's a bit Heath Robinson, a bit sketchy, but it will do the job ultimately. But if you've got the right tools, make sure you use them. So basically open that, obviously get your new bearing. So this is a centre sleeve here that goes through there just to centralise everything. Drop that on the bearing, drop it in the hole. If you can just push it by thumb, get it started, that's always a big bonus. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. That's pretty much halfway in, so this is going to be super easy. And on the other side, we'll drop that one in as well. Quite often you'll have a centre sleeve that comes out separately, so if you do, make sure you put that back in, obviously. It's quite annoying if you put these in and you forget to put that in. Ask me how I know. And again, we're just going to start this by hand if possible. Yeah, I could feel that bite in there. And drop your press through. Make sure you centralise it with these two sleeves. This part tool one's quite nice, it's sort of a quick release. You don't need to screw this all the way on, you just clip it onto the bit you need and then start that. And again, this takes a 5mm Allen key in the end, and you just wind it in gently. should go in really with virtually no resistance whatsoever. If you're really forcing it, then you've got something wrong. So it literally winds in, and as soon as they stop, that's it, literally finger tight. No more than that. Don't crank them down. All you're going to do is destroy the new bearings. So just wind them in gently. They should go in super easy. And then take all this stuff out. And they're in, so that one's super easy. Feels lovely. So we can just put the axle back in now, and then we're done on the front. Doesn't go much easier than that. So just clean up this axle. I'm going to put some fresh grease on here again, just for sort of anti-seize more than anything. There is a little bit of wear on this axle here. Can't feel it though. You can see it, but I can't feel it. If you could feel it with your thumbnail, then it's a problem, but I can't feel anything there. Clean this up, clean the threads on the end especially, so it's easier to put back together. And again, just get some grease on this. Really just for ease of assembly and anti-seize reasons, really. Next person who has to take it apart will thank you for this. Not lubricating the bearings, obviously, because they're sealed bearings, but make sure you've got plenty of grease on this. So before you put it in, put some grease on the outside of this bearing as well. All this is doing is basically adding a bit of a weather seal, so any water that does get in here is going to encounter the grease first before the bearing. Don't go crazy with it, just a light covering, like that. Drop your axle through. If it was sided, make sure you get it through the right side. This one will go either way. Push that through and screw this bit back on. When you screw these on, literally as soon as it stops, just stop. There's no torque settings on these. Don't crank them down. Don't go crazy. It just stops against the bearing then, that's it, that's enough. So when you tighten these down, don't go crazy. Literally finger tight, it's just a pinch bolt. Don't go 20 Newton meters on these. Just pinch it up like that, that's tight enough. And same on this one, just finger tight, done. So the last piece is this end cap. So these are it's interchangeable on this wheel, so this is for a quick release wheel. They'll sell you one to change it into a through axle wheel, 12mm through axle. You can see the wheel will take a through axle. So they'll just sell you the correct adapter for your bike, basically. Hunt do the same, a lot of other manufacturers do the same way. You just change this piece out to mix and match between bikes, really. This is just a push fit here with an O-ring, so just get a little bit of grease on this O-ring so it's easy to get in and out. And it'll just push in. Done. So that's that front wheel done. Super, super easy. Again, with your quick release, make sure you got some grease on this thread. I'll show you why in a minute. These tyres are directional, so make sure you put your quick release in from the right side. And make sure your spring's pointing with the pointy bit in. Again, drop this one in, just loosely do it up. The customer's only supplied me with the wheels, so we're not fitting this back to the bike. That's that one done. Beautiful. Right, back wheel now. Right, so on the back wheel, obviously we've got to get set off. That's pretty much the only difference. We are going to change the Freehub bearings as well. First job is to get this out. However, it's pretty much seized solid, so I don't know if you can see in there, but it's full of corrosion in there. That's why you need to grease it. This is very, very tight. I think I can just about get it, but make sure you grease these guys. Got it. Look at the state of that. So all the way through that is basically pure corrosion, so springs the lot. Not good. Use grease, please. You definitely need to get your cassette off. Well, not strictly true, but most of the time you're going to need to get this off, otherwise you can pull the whole cassette off sometimes with the Freehub body and just change the wheel bearings. However, that's a proper dodgy way of doing it, so we're going to get the cassette off. I'm going to put this on the floor a second. That was far tighter than it needed to be. I'll try and keep these together when you take them off, otherwise you'll be there all day putting them back on and they fall into every single sprocket. So on this one again, there's a 5mm in here, and then it's going to be a case of undoing the other end and pulling the axle through. So same thing again, there's an end cap on here with a preloader in it. Just slacken that off. And it should just wind itself out. I think there's another 5mm here actually on this one. Like I say, they're all slightly different, so even I have to check sometimes how you get them out, because rather than guessing and smashing things out with a hammer when it's wrong, sometimes there's a circlip hidden in there as well that you need to get out. So if you're not sure, go and double check first before you break something expensive. Right, that's loose now. However, that's not going to come off like that. So you can see this has got another 5mm Allen key, so that gives you a clue. He's basically going to unscrew like that. And that comes off. And that's that out. So this piece here just screws into the centre of this axle here, so it's basically a two-part axle really. Different way of doing it. So in theory this should just pull out now like that. There you go. And that's the other half of the axle. So there's one bearing in there, and there's the other one there. Again, just going to be a case of knocking these out. Clean it up and check your bearing number again. So there's two different sizes on this one, 6803 on non-drive side, and a slightly bigger, chunkier 6903 on the drive side. If you have DT Swiss wheels, you won't be able to get this bearing out without first undoing this ratchet ring here. This is not for this wheel, obviously, but for a DT Swiss hub, this goes in here. And then you need 65 people's strength to undo this lock ring here, and then you can push the bearing out. It's trapped behind the lock ring, so you need to unscrew this first with a special DT tool. Not on this wheel, this will come out straight out. You can see the edge of the bearing, no problem, but on DT Swiss, whatever you do, just keep bashing this out without taking the lock ring out. Check the wheels again, some of them are slightly different. Check DT's website to confirm that with your wheel, but the vast majority you need to unscrew this lock ring. And believe you me, it is tight. This one, however, super easy. We're just going to knock this out again. So again, get it on your hub support if you've got one. Catch the edge of the bearing. One there, one there, one there. Done. So just basically working it out, so you're hitting that edge, that edge, that edge, that edge, and just going around equally, and then it will come out. That's the beauty of the Enduro punch, is it gets the whole bearing in one and just drifts it straight out. So with the Enduro, it's literally going to be straight out. Done. And there's those two bearings. So right on time for today, fresh delivery of bearings. I use Kinetic bearings all the time in the UK. Fantastic guys, really, really rapid service, great stock. Not sponsored yet, if you're watching, guys. 6903, that's what we need for this one. Grab one of them. So 6903 was drive side and 6803 was non-drive side, which is that one there. So two new bearings, drive side, non-drive side. Again, clean this up, bit of grease, and press them in. So we're going to do the Freehub bearings as well. It'd be crazy not to while you're in here. Same principle generally. Get these clean. Yeah, I can't emphasize enough, please, please, please check with your manufacturer's website before you start doing this, because there's some slightly more obscure ones out there. This is a very straightforward one, but there are some slightly more obscure ones that might catch you out. Like I say, it's normally a hidden circlip somewhere that people miss, and they keep bashing it with a hammer, and they're thinking, why is it not coming out? Because you didn't read the instructions. If you want to get carried away and clean this while the cassette's off, crack on. I'll do it after. I'll do it off camera when I finish this though. Again, just a little bit of grease on the silver bit. In the Freehub, try to avoid the ratchets because it's a different type of grease. So we're just lubricating the silver piece here where the bearing sits, like that. Don't get it in this ratchet, we're going to use a different grease for that. I'm trying my very best to keep all this in focus for you. I'm still playing with this new camera and getting the focus settings right. Sometimes it behaves and sometimes it's not great, but I've got one of the little external monitor screens for it now, which is making life a bit easier, so hopefully that should improve as well. Right, so that one fits in there, done. And the other one, again, we need to measure this first. The other one just measure so we can get the right drift size again. So it's 30mm on this one. So the one we use for the front will fit this non-drive side. Then I just need to get a 30mm for this. So that's loaded up on the press there, ready to go in from the drive side. So just load the press up with the bearings, and then you should just turn this in by hand. You might need an Allen key on the end of this tool to hold it with, but there's so little pressure I can literally hold that in with my hand. And it's pushing the bearings in, no problem. So that's how little pressure it should require. Like I say, when you're cranking it down and it's stuck solid, you are doing it wrong. Right, that's more than tight enough. You see what I did there? Just a tiny little nip on the end. We're done. They're in. This is where you realise you forgot to put the sleeve in the middle and have to do it all over again. Problem with that is if you have to knock the bearings out, you're going to damage the new bearings, so you'd have to do more bearings. Right, they're in. Perfect. And now we're going to look at the Freehub bearings. Right, so Freehub, clean it up first so you can see what's what. I've never seen one on a two-part axle before. Like I say, they're all very slightly different. I've never done one of these wheels before, but I'm literally using the same principles that I've seen on many, many other wheels. Quite nice wheels actually, carbon rims. So you'll see some flats on this one for a cone spanner. So that's going to give you a clue as to what you've got to do next. 5mm back in there, and they should just unscrew then, like that. Should just come out then. Like I say, that's different to other wheels as well. Keep that somewhere safe. Hopefully this should just push out now. Might need a little tap. There you go. Okay, so that's the axle coming out like that. So on this one, there's a little dust cap here. Make sure you remember which way up this goes. It's pretty obvious on this one because the dirty side is on out, but take it out and put it down the same way you want to put it back in, like this basically. Don't get them mixed up because they can make a big difference. This one there are two bearings inside and there's a centre sleeve, so hopefully this centre sleeve we can push it to the side to catch the edge of the bearing, because that can make it a bit tricky sometimes if you can't do that. Have a good look at it to make sure you know how it's going back in, because you can see how down here, I don't know if you can see, but There's a big gap down here before we get anywhere near the bearing. So what a lot of people would try to do is hammer it back down to the bottom of this, not realising it actually sits pretty much halfway up the Freehub body. So have a good look before you take it apart to familiarise yourself. Clean these threads first. Cleanliness is the name of the game when it comes to bearings. He says with the dirtiest cloth in the world. It's fine for something like this. We get through so many microfibers. I do wash them every now and again to try and extend the life of them, but unfortunately you get through a lot. So there's a 6803 bearing on this one as well. I'm guessing the other one's the same. So like I say, what we need to try and do now is flick this sleeve. I've just pushed that down there. Flick that sleeve to the side, that's moved. So we can drift onto the edge of this bearing now, so it's super easy. On this one I use the anvil on my vise. You need a pretty firm surface to hit this against. And again, we're just drifting that through there. So we move the sleeve so we can just catch the edge of that bearing. And once you get it moving, it'll come out easily. That sleeve will move much easier now, so we can get around to the other side of the bearing. And that's out. There's the sleeve. So they normally come out pretty easily. And this one does have a circlip inside. You can see that down there. So that's what you've got to be really careful about. Most Freehubs do, but we need to get that out first before we can get that second bearing out. Let's do that. I'm trying to keep this in focus, look at the screen, and actually get the thing out at the same time. So bear with me. So just get that on there, and once it comes out, we'll get started. So just grab that, get pressure on it. We've got to clear that other bearing seat and get hold of it before it flies across the workshop. Right, that's on there now. And now we can just drift this one straight out. Again, I'm using the Enduro punch because I've got it and it's far superior, so that's out. And we'll get halfway like that and stop against the seat for the other bearing. So you just keep going straight through. Make sure your drift is super straight there. And just tap it through. And that's out. Okay, so that's an empty shell now. So while we've got it off, we'll clean up this Freehub as well, and we'll re-lubricate this. It's part of a wheel service really, so this one here is pretty straightforward. It's just a spring that will pop out, and then just clean it up and put some Freehub grease on there. So we'll do that as well. Get rid of them. It's a pretty straightforward Freehub, this one. Some of them are slightly different, but there's a little spring in here basically there, which is all that's holding these pulls in. So just get that out. It'll just basically peel off like this. Like that. And there'll be one piece in here that's hooked in. So just remember how it came out and goes up like that. And now we could just clean up all this. If you've got ultrasonic cleaner, now's the time to put this in. It's basically just an empty aluminium shell now. So the seal will pop off as well. Now that's basically an empty Freehub shell. So with the ultrasonic, you'll normally get one of these little baskets so you can put the smaller pieces in. Like that, so you just go in there, pop that in the ultrasonic with the body. So they're ready for the ultrasonic now. Okay, so that's a bit cleaner than it was. My ultrasonic needs cleaning to be fair, but it's a bit better than it was. So just refit this seal first. That just literally pushes on. Make sure you get it the right way around from what it was. That goes on there like that. Spring and 3 pulls there. This is Shimano Freehub grease. You can use any. There's DT makes them as well. There's other ones, but it needs to be a really light grease like this. And you just want to add a little bit of grease behind where these springs sit basically. So these springs sit in here like this, but we need to put some grease in down the back where they pivot basically. You just need a little bit down here. That's it. That's all you need in there really. Anything thicker than this, it's just going to stick it together basically, so you don't want that. And just drop these pulls in. There's grease should hold these in there for you. Drop these in like that. You just need to get this spring back in, so there's a hole in here somewhere there. So hook that piece, the sticking up bit, into the hole, and then just peel this spring back around the Freehub basically. Careful with it because it's obviously pretty fragile spring. And that'll just basically hold them in place like that. And then when they're done, they'll spring up. They'll spring up to where they should be then once that springs back in there. And that's that done. Super easy. Grease here, we're going to put a little bit on the inside of the hub as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit on around the actual pull, the ratchet itself. So you can sort of tune the noise of your hub by doing this. You can put thicker or thinner ones in. Some people put oil in it, some people put nothing in it. So the less sort of grease, the less sticky it is, the louder your hub is going to be. So again, 2 new Enduro bearings, 6803s. So we're just going to get some grease in here again to aid installation. Let's get some grease in there like that. Done. Now we're going to get the first bearing. The only slightly tricky bit really is getting this first bearing past the housing for the second bearing basically, so it needs to drop through there. So we do need to press it through, and then it will find its own seat down the bottom. So this piece here will sit into the middle of the Freehub, so we know we're getting it in straight now. So that one now, all we're trying to do is wind this first bearing past its first slot, which is going in. So that's stopped dead there, so I must stop. I'm not trying to force that past there, that's stopped. It's not happy. So it has centralised, and it's in the first slot, so obviously we've got to go past that. So we need to put another spacer in there now, because what's happening is this black piece inside is hitting the other black piece, it's bottomed out. So we put that one on there, it will space it out, and it will let you wind it on a bit more. It should drop inside the Freehub then. Like I say, you're probably going to struggle to do this with a threaded rod. Using the wheel jig anyway. Right, that still doesn't want to go in there, so something not right. You forgot the bit, that's what's not. Right, so just put that back in there now, and hopefully that should allow me to press it in a bit further. Right, going in there quite easy again, absolutely no effort whatsoever. So it'll go into the void now between the two housings, keep going, and hopefully it'll start biting into it where it's supposed to sit. Just keep checking to make sure you got it in the right place. So that's down the bottom now. It's not quite in its where it needs to be yet though, but it has started. Again, I can press that in with my thumb now basically to get it started. That's just clicked into place. So now we can just carry on driving this through. I know that's going in straight now, so what I'm going to do is reverse this, otherwise, like I say, this black bit here is going to bottom out on the other black bit, and we're going to get nowhere. I'm confident that's going in straight now, so we'll just keep powering that through, and that will bottom out into the bottom of the, that's going in, no resistance whatsoever. I'm pushing that around with one finger, and that's stopped. So that's home. Get that out, so that's right down the bottom now. So next we need to put the circlip back in, don't forget that, it's dead easy. Drop straight in. Make sure it clicks home as well. I did feel like when I put it in, that's definitely home. I can feel that slot down there, and that circlip is in there, so that's done. Don't forget your spacer. How many times have you done that? Grease on this. I put plenty of grease on this because they tend to be sort of mild steel and they do corrode, and obviously it's spinning on the axle as well itself, so just drop that in there, it will line itself up with a tool, and then we put the second bearing in, then we can just wind that last piece in there and it will stop quite soon. There we go, that's stopped. And the way you know if it's all the way in is you shouldn't be able to move that centre sleeve particularly easy. That's a good fit there, so we know that's bottomed out against the sleeve, so that's done. Don't forget that dust cap and the way up it went. So it was sort of curved side down on this one. I did put the axle and everything through the ultrasonic at the same time, so make sure that's nice and clean. Again, we're just going to put an extra cover and grease in here, just a bit of a weather shield, and pop this cap back in like that. Okay, so that's ready to go back on the wheel. Freehub's greased and clean, ready to go. So back to the axle. This is the Freehub end. Any silver parts here are obviously bearing races, so they need grease. And that should drop through the Freehub now, like that. And then we just screw this piece back on that we use the cone spanner. Sometimes these are a left-hand thread as well, so be careful. This one is a left-hand thread. So 5mm in there again, and cone spanner, just nip that down. Grab the cone spanner on it and just tighten that down. Just nip it up, it doesn't need to be crazy tight again. So that's the axle and Freehub bearings done. So this can go back in the wheel now with some fresh grease in here. Again, not too much, because again you don't want to contaminate your Freehub body. It'll sort itself out when you get back in the wheel. There you go. So that's ready to go back into the wheel now. So that will just drop in now, like that. Freehub engaged. Spin it over. And we need to screw this piece back in with the two 5mm. There was some Loctite on there from factory, so we'll obviously put some more on there. Just some blue Loctite again. Drop of grease on this bearing again, just for the weather sealing. And then this will just screw back into the other side of the wheel. Two 5mm. Nip that up. I did clean the rest of the wheel while the rest of the stuff was in the ultrasonic. So just nip those up. Again, that's tight enough. It's stopping dead. I can't possibly turn that one off if I try to. And then just nip that back up again. And we are done. Just need to refit this cassette. I did try and clean it, but it's not come up very well. I think it's seen better days. Alright, that's tight enough on that. There we go. So that's the wheel service. Well, both wheels serviced. Beautifully smooth. Enduro bearings. and your Freehub serviced as well, and that's serviced as well. So I'll just put this cassette back on off camera, and that's how you do it basically. So I showed you how to do these wheels, the Vision wheels. Like I say, other wheels are similar, can be slightly different, so please check the website first, make sure you get it right. But yeah, it's not too difficult, but again, you do need quite a few specialist sort of tools really. The presses especially, they're super expensive if you get the Shiny Park tool ones, but there are cheaper alternatives out there, I guess, that'll do the same job. At push, you could use a washer and threaded rod, but I really wouldn't recommend it on an expensive wheel like this. But yeah, I hope that gives you an idea. I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more Workshop Wednesdays. Thank you very much.